I want to share something with you today, but before I do, I want to be honest with you and tell you that I did manipulate the picture to accurately reflect what it is I witnessed when I compared my watches in the pitch black. I took this picture with my iPhone and it auto calibrated the darker side of the picture on the left being the Ultra 2, and it literally made it just as bright as my Series 5, which couldn't be further from the truth. So my iPhone lied. I'm not lying, but I wanted to tell you about it in case you're like, I can tell you did like a marquee tool. It looks a little bit darker here, a little bit brighter. There's like a line. Because I took a square thing, I put it on the watch, and I just darkened it so that it properly showcases what it is you would see if you were standing next to me. So I want to go over a couple of things and tell you what I think is the cause behind this. It's not because of the different material used in the screen, okay? So the Series 5 on the right is using Ion X glass. There's no sapphire crystal. The Ultra 2 on the left does have the sapphire crystal, but it can go up to 3,000 nits of brightness, whereas the Series 5 can only go up to 1,000. But when we're in a regularly lit room, like my bedroom, you're at a doctor's office, you're in a shopping center, a classroom, these two watches are going to be identical. If you go outside with the flaming giant ball of cancer known as the sun shines down on your watch, this is going to get a lot brighter than this. Which is cool, but I already felt like this was bright enough to begin with. I would rather only have 1,000 nits of brightness if it means you're going to give me a lot more brightness in the dark than going the complete opposite way and going even darker in the dark. Right? You're brighter in the brightness and darker in the darkness, but you're the same in a regular room. That's what I don't like about the Ultra 2. Now, let's take a look here at an old video of mine. On the left, we have the Garmin Fenix 5X with sapphire glass. And on the right, we have the regular Garmin Fenix 6X with no sapphire. They're both the same brightness, but on the left, it picks up a lot more smudges, which again, my Ultra has a lot more smudges than this one because of what I'm showing you here, and that's a known fact. Now I have a 6X with sapphire, and again it picks up the smudges, but in the darkness this is brighter than my Ultra 2. So why does this matter? Well, if you clicked on the video, maybe it matters to you. Maybe you're not normal and you like to hang out in caves a lot, or you like to go hiking in the middle of the woods, exploring the wilderness at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Well, the moon ain't going to be enough to bring up the brightness of your watch. The auto-dimming, auto-brightness that was introduced to the Apple Watch, I believe, from Series 4 onwards is an ambient light detector, or whatever it's called. It does this with the, well, maybe not this, one at a time. It either goes dimmer or brighter based on your environment. You can't turn that off like you can on a phone, the auto brightness. You can't do it. So that part is stupid. So to make I got too many watches here. Yes, the Ultra 2. To make this, in my opinion, a much better watch, allow us to change the brightness when it's dimming. How dim will it go? Have it so that we can just turn the damn thing off to begin with. I personally don't need 3,000 nits of brightness during the day. I'm good with 1,000 or 2,000. Okay? So I wish that we could do that, but just like all the watches that I've ever played with, there's only 3 settings for the brightness. Okay? Because when I first got this watch, I was thinking to myself, you know what? Wow, 3,000 nits of brightness. Jesus. I'm going to put that brightness on the lowest setting, which is 1 out of 3, and it'll be the same as this on maximum. Incorrect. So to quickly recap, the Ultra 2, I can't speak for the Ultra 1, didn't have it. The Ultra 2 can go brighter outside stays the same in a regular room, but goes even dimmer in the darkness. So it's too wide of a brightness scale, or whatever you want to call it. Now, you could be saying to yourself, you know, you're flapping your gums 100 miles an hour. I could still see just fine the watch on the left. And you can. But again, in real world testing, when you're actually here with me in the closet, well, because I got a walk-in closet closed there, because it's super dark. I didn't want to go in the basement and have some creepy crawly on my face. That's where I did my test. I was just like blown away. And when the always on display kicked in, because you're going to be sitting in the dark, I mean, it depends what you're doing at 2 o'clock in the morning. If you're just somewhere in the darkness and you're like sitting at a computer, and you're looking at your watch, because we're sure you'll be looking at your watch, it's going to be so dark in the always on display when it's dim, you're going to have to tap the screen. So at night, forget the always on display with an Ultra. I don't know, because it's not like I bought a watch every year. I've had a few of them, and I've done a lot of research and read other people's Reddit posts and stuff like that, or on Mac forums. Some people have reported that their Series 3 and before, which would make sense because it didn't dim, that whether they had the stainless steel with the sapphire glass, or they just had the regular aluminum watch with the Ion X glass, the brightness was identical. But then some people later on were saying, hey, the one with the sapphire is a little bit darker, and that's why that's going around. Oh, well, the sapphire is like reflective by 74%, doesn't allow as much light. It's not going to get as bright. That potentially could be true. But at the end of the day, again, if I finally finish this video by the end of the day, these two watches are the same brightness. This watch is capable of being as bright as this and going brighter. So we need to turn up by a couple of 100 nits is probably what it would be. I would think 250 to 350 nits of extra dimming brightness would be nice, and it would probably make it more on par to this watch. Because again, even in the picture, it's noticeable. It's not night and day. But I promise you, in real-world testing, when you're looking at your watch, don't forget now, you're looking at a completely blown-up picture, taking up half of your screen here. When it's on your wrist and you're looking at it in the closet with me, you're doing one of those, because I was really sold on that brightness thing, and now I'm starting to wonder, you know, which watch do I want to keep? I mean, I'm going to keep my Garmin regardless, and I'm going to keep this because this is like worthless now. And I really do like this watch. Not like I don't like it. It's just got a couple of weird things, especially with watchOS 10 that have come out that I'll share with you quickly, since if you made it this far into the video, I'm sure you're not going to mind me flapping my gums for an extra couple of minutes. If you look at the bottom on both watches with OS X 10, where am I going without a helmet? watchOS 10. Depending on the watch face that you're using, you'll notice that the 73 or 80 here BPM, there's no space between the number and the beats per minute. And that drives me absolutely batshit crazy. Now, because it used to have a space in between the number and the BPM. Now, if you're doing an actual heart rate test, you do get the space. So it'll tell you what it is, what your heart rate is. And it's clearly like defined between, you know, the number and then the red letters. Like you can see it even though it's upside down. I hope you can see it. Right? Like it's as clear as day. But if you just kind of like want to glance at first and you want to look at the bottom to see what your heart rate is, I mean, yes, you can read it. Just focus. You just kind of have to do that extra. At first, I thought I had like 868 heart rates. Like, God damn, I'm going to have to call me 911. Right? Because the B could look like an 8. I mean, I have a mild astigmatism, just a mild one, just enough to make it that from far, if I'm jogging, holy shit, 868 beats, I'm going to croak, right? So that's one of my little hiccups. And the other one that I can show you is when you do click on the activity, you can see it a little bit here, maybe. they do a gradient thing. They did the same thing on the phone. When you're in a call, it'll go from top left bright and it'll get darker, like on an angle, almost like a brush stroke. You kind of see it here, the red, it's brighter at the top. If you look at the green, it's brighter on top than at the bottom. And it's a cool gradient in the blue, because now they're all like in subsections. You can no longer like scroll like minuscule, minute scrolling. It's just bam, there it is. And then when I look at this is nitpicking, but it is brighter at the top than at the bottom. It almost makes you feel like your screen has some kind of like backlight edge lighting bleed, but that can't be true because you have an OLED display. That's just nitpicking. That with the BPM not separate from the number when you display your... Why am I showing you this? You got the big picture. When you're displaying it at the bottom, it's a subtle thing. I'm nitpicking, like I said, and I'm saying that a lot. It bothers me a little bit. Just a tiny bit. Not enough to be like, screw this watch, I'm taking it back. And then the brightness. I mean, it's not like I spend most of my nights out in the middle of the wilderness again. But it's just to say that depending on the type of person you are, this could be important to you. Okay? And that's why I felt it was really, really important for me to make this video. Because I could promise you, Marquis Brown? Marcus, I forget his name. The guy that gets like 3 billion views a day to talk about tech and unbox therapy and all those bigwigs. I can promise you they're not going to be talking about this. And I think it's important because this is a huge selling feature. In closing to my rant, the Ultra 2 is 1,000 nits brighter than the Ultra 1. And for some people, not many, but for some, they could be like, that's it, I gotta upgrade. That's not enough of a reason to upgrade. Okay? In the end, this watch is still amazing. If I don't track every single activity and I use it as like a count stepper, I've only got 86% battery life, like integrity, right? The longevity of my battery. I still get over 40 hours of battery life on this. I get more hours out of this than what the Ultra is rated for because I'm not constantly leaving the always on display on. When I'm looking at my watch, I tap it, it comes on, I do a couple of things. If I go for a walk, it's still going to track my steps. I don't need to go, okay, deep, deep, deep. I'm doing an outdoor walk, okay, beep, beep, beep. Okay, now I can start walking. I'm not saying that's dumb. It's amazing to do that because it very accurately tracks your steps and it can help with your stride length, accuracy and all that because you can't set your stride length in an Apple Watch, right? It uses the accelerometer of your phone, this, that, and the other thing. The GPS kind of just syncs everything together. But in the end, anything from Series 1 or onwards or 2 and onwards, you don't even need the phone. You don't. You just need to turn on the GPS a couple of times, and the more times you do use it, the more it like refines the calibration, if you will. But comparing all of these together, the steps can be off as much as 300 to 500 steps, but the distance will be practically bang on. So most of my viewers are probably going to be American, so I'm going to use miles. Let's say I go for a 2-mile walk. My watch here might say 1.9 miles, and this one will say 2 miles. Pretty damn good, but it may show quite a few hundred steps off, and that potentially could be because of the stride thing. I don't know, but it's still pretty damn accurate nonetheless. Now, if you use the GPS, they're both the same. I mean, GPS, they're both still pretty good. So keep that in mind. It's going to go darker for the new watch, the same brightness in a regular room and brighter outside. I still haven't made up my mind what I'm going to do, but I do like the watch. Like compared to this one, the extra little features, is it worth 1,300 Canadian? I don't know. I got 14 days left to decide whether or not I want to hold on to this because that is a big purchase. I thought it was nuts to be spending $500 or $600 on these things with taxes and Canadian currency for a watch. But then thankfully I got this one pretty cheap on Amazon, only $450 Canadian. These were like closer to $1,000 back when I made that video in 2019 where I only had the 6X. I was like, I ain't paying an extra whatever for the sapphire glass. I don't care if it scratches. It's like this goddamn thing was like $700 Canadian. So, anyways, a lot of watches, a lot of little things you start to pick up as you play around with them. And I felt, as much as this was a long-winded, rambling video, I truly felt it was important for me to try to get an extra 20 views on my channel and share this information with you. If you made it to the end, pat yourself on the back. I'll do it as well. Book an appointment with your shrink, because it's going to take a toll on your mental health. And if you like the video, go ahead, give it a thumbs up. I mean, it does greatly help support the channel with the algorithm in making me more relevant in the search results when people are looking shit up. My comparison with the Phoenix watch has got me 25,000 views. For a guy like me, that's a lot of views. I mean, I've gotten... Anyways, never mind that. You didn't like the video, go ahead, give it a thumbs down. We'll bend it in half. We'll twist it, break it off in your ass. And if you want to subscribe to the channel, sure. Naturally, that'd be great, right? But what do you want to do? That's what matters. Never mind these YouTubers that tell you, make sure you smash the like button, you subscribe, you turn on the notifications. It's like, holy shit. My probation officer 22 years ago didn't even give me that many instructions to follow. Okay? So, yeah. Take care. And maybe, if I'm lucky, I'll see some of you in the next one. Bye for now.